Today we are going to cover the installation and the wiring of two Hella 500 Blackmagic driving lights. And this is really something I never thought I was going to do as far as adding lights. It was never kind of on the priority list. But the lights aren't that expensive, and now I have the 4 mounting holes on the Lpaventure front bar, so I thought, what the heck. They run about 80 bucks shipped for 2, and Hella has different sizes. They have a 500 and a 700 and probably other sizes, but those are the 2 I looked at. The 500s are a little bit smaller than the 700s, so I chose to go with those. And they have 500 FFs, 700 FFs, or just 500s and 700s. And the big difference is the FF stands for freeform, which apparently they are a little bit brighter than the standard 500 or 700. They apparently take more of the light and project it forward. I went with what's called the 500 Blackmagic, which means the lenses are actually black. So I thought that would be a better look for the car, just a personal preference. So we're gonna install them, we're gonna wire them up, and I wanted to give a big thanks to Mike over at Sasquatch Mountain Tactical for putting a video up for me specifically to show me how he did his wiring. Thanks again, Mike, for doing that. So let's get started. I'll show you what's in the box, and then we'll go out and hopefully I can get these things wired up and working. So thanks, guys. Let's get started. All right, guys, so what we have here is the Hella 500 Blackmagic kit. Comes with 2 lights, like I mentioned. Just do a quick opening here. From what I understand, it comes with everything you need to wire this all up. Alright, so of course the instructions, which hopefully are helpful. Here's a full wiring harness with a relay, which is cool. Kind of gives you everything you need. Some quick connectors, etc. The brackets for the lights to mount them to the front bar, and of course the lights themselves. And they come with the covers for the lights also. Don't eat this, bad. All right. So step 1, put this bolt through, and you're gonna put this guy on here. There's a little notch. I don't know if this screw has a notch on it or not. Yeah, it has a little notch on the screw. I don't know if you can see that. All right, and these are what you use to attach it to the car itself. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna decide if I wanna go, I'm leaning towards putting them on the outside holes to start with, and then I can still use these for camera mounts, but I'm gonna try it in both spots, see what I think looks better. It's right here where I realized that the bolt that secures the lights to the car was actually too big. You need a 3/8 inch hole, and so I played around with the idea, and I went to Ace Hardware and got the best thing I could find that they had, but unfortunately the top of their bolt was actually round, so there was no way for it to grab on the bracket as you tighten it. So I went to plan B, and that was just to drill out the holes. 3/8 inch bit, and it took out just a tiny bit, and I actually kind of had to move the bit around a little bit to get it to be big enough. After getting the bolt holes large enough, I decided to test where I wanted the lights to go, and ended up choosing to put them on the outside. I like the way they look on the inside as well, but for now I'm going to stick them on the outside, and maybe I'll add some additional lights in the future. Kind of interesting because on their little wiring harness, blue is ground and black, I believe, is power that runs to the light. So this big long black power will go from this little relay, which this is the relay here. This plugs in to this Red goes to the battery, which thankfully makes sense. That has a fuse on it already. Yellow goes to the switch. And like I said, black goes down to both of the lights, and the blue is the ground. Then you have this green wire here, which is also fused. And then this will go to power, and it'll also go to the switch. So this powers the switch. So that's kind of a quick overview. The kit comes with, this is a little ground wire for the switch itself. Comes with the switch, which is this little guy. And then it has just some little pieces that you're gonna need to get these wires all connected up. Anytime you're working with electricity, you guys know this, disconnect the battery for obvious reasons. So the plan right now is I'm going to connect, I'm going to just loosely mount the lights. I'm going to connect the two blacks and the two blues from each light, and then I'm going to run those in here and then up along, kind of, this is what Mike was showing me, and then run it along here. It's going to go into this section, through the firewall here, into the door area. Not sure if you're going to be able to see this. I need a light. It'll come out up here, and then there's this little grommet where you have wires going into the inside of the car. So I'm going to put a little slit in here, and I'm going to feed my two wires through, and then I'm going to mount the switch in here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where, but that's the plan. Before you get started laying out the wiring harness, you do need to remove a couple of panels, or at least lift this front panel up. So go ahead and remove those two push pin type guys so that you can lift that up and feed the wires through. And then you also need to remove this little side panel here, which will give you access to the door frame. And again, just a little flathead screwdriver, pull those two pins, and that'll make life much easier and allow you to tuck all the wires underneath there. And then from here, basically, you just take the wiring harness and just kind of start laying things out, figuring out where you want to put it. The red wire goes to the battery, as we talked about earlier. The black wire goes down to the hella lights up front, and then the yellow wire is going to go to the switch. So just kind of start putting things in the spot that you want them and figuring things out. It just kind of really helped me to do that, to kind of get things started. The next step is to start feeding the black wire through underneath that cover and down to the front of the car. It's a little bit fiddly. You just kind of got to take your time and get it down there so you can pull it through the grill down by the lights at the bottom. Give it a little bit of time, and then once you get them, you'll get them down here, and you're going to notice that there's a short side and a long side. Obviously, the long side you want to take to the light that's furthest away, and then the other shorter side go to the light that's closest. All right, so this is the black wire from the driver's side to the black wire that goes to the relay. And then we'll do the same thing over here. And then I'm going to have to extend the ground wires. Maybe I'll splice them together in the middle here and then take it up to a ground. So the ground, this wire is an extra wire that I bought, 16 gauge. Try to get it as close to the color as I could. So I splice it here with this ground from the driver's side light. And now I'm going to connect this wire and then run it up and ground it to something on the car. Hopefully I bought enough wire. And then once I'm done, I'm going to put that stuff in the sheathing here to protect it. So far, I've got, this is the black wire that goes to the wiring harness that came with the car. It comes up here to where and plugs into this guy. That's what that black wire is. And I did not buy enough blue wire to combine the grounds and then run it up. So I used some extra black wire that I had, but at least I know that this is the ground because it has blue on it and it connects to the blue wire on the bottom. So that's what this is all about. So those two are running down to there. I'm going to ground this on the negative cable here of the battery. And down here, so basically what I did is I ran a I connected this to my extra piece of blue wire. And then on this side over here, I combined my extra piece of blue with the blue or the ground from the driver's side, connected that, and then I connected a wire. That's that black and blue wire that's up to the top. So now what I did was I used those butt joints, these little guys. I used those to combine the wires, and then I actually duct taped them, or not duct taped, I electrical taped them also, as you can see right here. And now I'm gonna just kind of put some extra tape along just to kind of keep these tight, or not tight, but together. And then I'm gonna wrap them in this, and I'm gonna have to get more of this as well because I totally underestimated what I would need. The next phase is I wrapped basically from here to about here in this casing. Put a couple zip ties on it for now. And then this center section, I'm actually gonna get a little bit thicker sheathing piece because the wires, I had to kind of bunch them up a little bit back through there. Now, and I also want to cover them as they come up through here so that they're not just all willy wonky in there. And I'll probably zip tie them to something as well. They're going to come out through here, like I mentioned before. The blue and black wire is going to go to the ground, and then this black wire goes to this little guy. So hopefully you can see the yellow wire and the green wire. They go back through there, and then they tuck right behind that hinge. See the yellow wire there, and there's the yellow and green wire. And then I put a little bit of a slit in this little grommet gasket thing. I forgot to mention earlier, you do have to remove this panel. And then the wires come right through there. I'll probably just get a little bit of sealant and just make sure that stays dry in there. So now I'm just going to finish up. These are the yellow and the green are the wires for the switch. And there's also a blue wire that connects to the switch, which is another ground. I got to find somewhere to ground it in here. And as far as where I'm going to put the switch, I'm not sure. Maybe one of these spots up here. All depends. Or I may just let it hang underneath the dash for now until I decide what I want to do with them. So the switch wiring, I just wanted to go over that again with you real quick. The green wire there goes in position 1. The yellow wire goes to the center, which is position 2, and the blue or the ground goes to position 3. And if you look at the switch, you're not going to be able to see it here, but there's tiny little numbers on there. Green wire goes to here, and it goes to the battery to give the switch power. The yellow one goes to the wiring harness and the relay. And the blue is just an extra little pigtail ground that they give you. And I put mine right up in here, and I ground it on that bolt right there. And just to reiterate, the yellow and the green wire come out of here. The yellow wire goes to the wiring harness, and you can see the green wire here connects to the positive terminal with the red wire that goes to the wiring harness. So at this point we're going to attach the relay, or plug in the relay I should say. There's only one way that I can go. And then we just got to figure out how we want to mount it here. And just use some double-sided tape. Once you get the relay plugged in, basically you just kind of tidy up your wires. The red and green wire to the battery, the ground wire that runs in here down, and the black wire that runs to the lights. There is extra black wire, so you just kind of zip tie that together. I did the same with the red, tucked in the blue, and at this point my relay is not mounted on anything, it's just kind of tucked in there along with the fuses. And then of course the green and yellow wires run up to the switch, as we've already covered. And that's really about it. So after this, it was time to test the lights and make sure they work. All right guys, I just finished up for tonight. I got a little bit to button up tomorrow, but I just wanted to give you a quick look with just the lights on. They're not adjusted or tightened down or anything at this point. So I wanted to come out here when it's totally dark and show you the lights. Again, they are still not adjusted. And the camera's making them look a lot more white than they really are. More yellow. But for example, these will be adjusted up more. They're still way loose, as you can see. But at least this will give you an idea of what they look like. And I'll show you from the front. So I think they'll be a nice addition. If you're off-road at night, they'll be helpful. Alrighty guys, so I got the lights buttoned up today and I already had a little bit of a problem. Somehow I got the switch turned on while I went to Costco, came home, the lights were on, kind of slightly melted my covers. So if you wire the lights the way I did, you have to be very diligent that you don't mistakenly turn them on. I really don't know how that happened because it's a pretty stiff switch, a really good click when you turn them on and off. So I really don't know how that happened, but anyway, something to be aware of. So these here are my low beams, high beams. That's with fog lights. And then I'm gonna turn the other lights on, and that's with the Hellas. And as you can see, they're still not adjusted great. I basically tightened them down and adjusted them visually. Haven't done them at night yet, so I'll probably do that tonight. I got back from the drive and I decided to go ahead and adjust the lights, and I wanted to show you what I came up with here. So let me turn them on. So there they are with just the driving lights, and I think they look better where they're at. I brought them up just a little bit, and I think that works out pretty well. They say at 25 feet, it shouldn't be more than 4 inches above the center of the bulb. I'm not really sure what that means, but I measured out 25 feet and just tried to get them basically in the general area what I thought they were talking about. So that's just the driving lights. That is the low beams with the driving lights. Low beams, fog, and driving lights. And then, as you know, the fogs go off with the high beams, and that's high beams and driving lights. Anyway, once again, thanks again to Mike at Sasquatch Mountain Tactical. Check out his channel. And everyone, thank you guys for watching. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below, or you can always email me as well. We'll see you at the next one, guys.